Hear ye, and welcome to the Royal Geek Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Rollison, also known as T-Roll, and tonight I'm joined by my very good friends. You already know them. First of all, we have Justin Sandoval, a.k.a. Sandy. We also have Anthony Amato, who we like to call Shamato. And tonight, returning as a special guest star to the podcast, a triumphant return for our friend Jordan Mosley. Jordan's been on the podcast once before with Sandy and a special covering the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
Yeah, that was fun, man. We had a good time on that. Sorry you guys missed out. But,
but it's the first time that me and Shamato have gotten to meet you, Jordan. So
yes,
glad
nice
to have you on the pod.
Thanks for having me, boys.
Absolutely. So how's everyone doing tonight?
Yeah, dude, it's good, man. There's a good feeling in the air right now. Star Wars is, honestly, dare I dare say, peak right now. Like it is
pretty close. Yeah,
it is really, really good right now. So we're all eating real good.
We're eating good.
Yeah.
All right. Big shout out to all of our listeners, everybody who's tuning in. We want to thank you for listening. We want to remind you to please subscribe to the podcast wherever you are listening, leaving us a review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. That helps us out tremendously. Please do that, and then also share this podcast with your friends. If you got any Star Wars friends of yours who enjoy Ahsoka and other Star Wars content, send them this episode. Okay. Tell them to listen to it because it's the greatest podcast that they've never listened to.
Yep.
So
there you go. Perfect pitch.
With all that in mind,
that was
great. Thank you. Spoiler warning for episode number 6, which is titled "Far, Far Away." Did that hit you guys different when you saw it pop up?
Dude,
Far, Far Away.
It was amazing, man.
Yeah, pretty cool.
It was so cool.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty awesome.
Well, I mean, literally, like 5 minutes later, Hu Yang starts his story with in a galaxy far, far away. Like, how crazy is that statement is like spoken out loud, not just read in the beginning of every movie.
Exactly.
And the fact that it wasn't like, stupid and hokey.
Yeah.
Like the fact that it actually
felt sincere.
It played into what was actually happening. It wasn't like some dumb oh well they're far, far away. Wink. Like it fits so well, and what they were doing was their first time traveling to this part to
another galaxy.
They're part of the universe.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's so cool.
So in honor of Jordan being our guest, Jordan, we'd love to hear just kind of overall, maybe so far, we're 6 episodes into Ahsoka, kind of how you've been experiencing it. Have you enjoyed it? Are you critical of it in any way? And we have to kick you off here?
No. Not some actors maybe I'm a little critical of.
Okay.
But so I was talking to Justin about it, and he was like, hey, we're doing Ahsoka, catch up. And I was like, I hadn't listened to it. I hadn't watched any of them as of last week.
Oh, wow.
So I binged them.
So you've been crushing it.
I was waiting. I was purposely waiting.
There you go. For the right opportunity.
Oh, yeah. And then, this one I watched twice. Great episode.
I did watch it twice, too. It was so good.
Yeah, it was
episode.
so good.
I mean, last episode was phenomenal.
Oh, my.
Honestly.
Okay, so for anyone who actually, listens to the pod, that was the first time I've double watched an episode in a very long time.
Last week's episode?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good, man. That's good. So, but yeah, you want to watch this twice.
So again, spoiler warning. So we're gonna get into it. But what was better, last week's episode and everything with just all the nods to the animated series and everything, or just that moment when you finally saw Thrawn in live action? Dude. If you gotta say what's better, I need to know right now. Go.
Oh man, that's tough. I would say last week still.
Okay.
But just by a hair.
I would lean towards last week as well.
But it was still pretty badass to see Thrawn, right?
It was.
It was awesome.
He has one of the best entrances that you've seen in a while in these shows. Yeah, chanting his name, the camera from behind, the walk up, and he's got his hands behind his back as he walks to the front.
And I love when you're getting a reveal of a character that you've been waiting for, and you kind of imagine the first time you're gonna see them, it's gonna be right there, like a portrait, right in front of you. Mm-hmm. But it still took about 20 seconds to get the full view. You definitely saw his blue skin in the distance, and you're your hands stretching out, and you're almost waiting for a cut scene to end to go to another, for them to toy with you some more.
They also played it up, man.
Side note, I paused it to tell my mother-in-law this, but when Morgan and Balin and Shin show up to those 3 witches, and Morgan says, "Where's Thrawn?" And she says, "You will wait." I was like, that's like a meta joke to the fans.
Yes. That's so
I could
true.
see that for sure.
Or whatever they said. She might not have said that exactly, but it was something like that.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just hilarious.
I think it was like he'll come to you or something.
Yeah.
Like
He's on his way.
Yeah.
You will wait.
Yes.
That's so good.
But anyways, the episode begins. You were mentioning with Hu Yang, and they're in the ship, and the whales are traveling, and we're seeing the literal whales, like the space whales going through hyperspace. Pretty wild.
This is the first time we've seen a different style of hyperspace. Like we're used to seeing like the spotted stars, and then they turn into like
a
streaks.
blue tunnel, right?
But now, but now it was like a weird swirly tunnel, which I'm not sure, is it because they're traveling to a different galaxy that they're getting a different hyperspace view, or is it because that the whales are hitting a current of hyperspace and they're riding that current
like a different speed?
Yeah. Like it's kind of like we've talked about before on the podcast, but Finding Nemo when Crush takes the streamline, and is it something to do with that? Are they hitting
EAC?
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, it could be that. So I don't know.
I don't know. Or maybe so.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's because maybe, I don't know if, like, those whales, if they have to find a certain current or if their own abilities just allow them to do it wherever. Because a ship can just do it wherever. They don't need it.
Yeah.
That's how I interpret it.
Yeah.
Right? You just do it. But they might have to hit a certain gap.
Yeah.
I don't know, but either way,
Well, they do. I know
cool.
ships do calculations before they jump to hyperspeed.
Well, no, but
always
to coordinates.
Well, right, yeah.
But I doubt that there's, like, a certain track or
what
a
if those
lane.
Coordinates are like they have to literally line up?
See, I don't care. Math, measurements.
I
don't
love
care.
the idea of just like, how do we get there? It's like, oh, just get in its mouth. It's like,
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Some strong teeth there.
Simplest terms there. Just hop in the mouth. Let's go.
Exactly.
I got you. Let's go.
And we still haven't seen her arrive, and it
Right.
makes me fearful for the poor Purgles when they show up, because what Thrawn said.
Thrawn said
to kill him with show great prejudice against him. Like it's gonna be brutal. It's gonna be sad.
But
That's gonna suck.
But like they mention it being like a graveyard. It's like,
Yes.
so are they already going to die?
That's a good.
Like, are they like on their way to die, and they're
That's
like,
a good
hey, let's
point.
catch a ride?
I feel like they.
I don't know what that meant.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was like.
I think it's like the start of their journey and the end of their journey. Like I feel like they go there, like it's part of their migration pattern. They mentioned that before, so it could be like to give birth and then they leave and then they come back to die, like that kind of thing.
That's so interesting.
But that opening scene where they show the graveyard,
Oh yeah.
Oh, that
and
was
the
awesome.
bones in space,
Wild.
that
Yeah.
was really really cool. And
Like that. Is that what the rings are around that planet?
you know what? Honestly, it could be. Yeah,
might be,
The
I
ring
guess
is just
so.
floating
It could be, yeah.
carcasses. Like
That's really wicked. To be honest with you.
I love that, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, this whole planet was like, okay, something, by the way, we're jumping all over the place.
Yeah.
And I think that's fine. Does anybody understand Balin's aim here?
He has
Wild card.
In a way, in my mind, he has stolen some of the spotlight of the Reign storyline, because I am really intrigued about like where he's coming from. Like the ideas in my mind there's a lot of things that I am like thinking like, where is he going with this? Like at first there was a moment in this episode where he said something, and for a moment I was like, maybe he is trying to create true balance in the Force. But the idea in my mind was that he is going to try to do something, like maybe he knows that on this planet that he's going to try to essentially destroy the Force, where there would be no good and evil on the side of the Force, like in that there would everyone would be on even playing field. But then later on, of course, it doesn't seem like it as much later in the episode. But I thought that would be I kind of was like, wait, like is he trying to like just like good and evil like just don't exist on the Force scale anymore?
Maybe. I really can't figure out what his
his
play is.
his motives are very confusing right now.
They are.
I don't.
And even Shin has no idea.
Well, Shin's just following her master's lead, and she has no idea
Shin-
what he wants to
and
do.
Shin is like, there are moments with her that I'm like I think up until this episode we were kind of on the idea of like about the honorable Balin in a lot of ways. Like even though he was like working for Morgan and he was kind of honorable, but in this you kind of like saw some cracks in that. In this episode you saw some cracks, like the idea of like them essentially hunting down Sabine after that letting her go, and there were moments where you were like, maybe Shin is going to turn on him and be the more honorable of the two, in the sense of like, well, we made this choice to like, we made this promise, so like we need to keep it. Like because there were moments when they were talking where like Shin seemed to be a little bit like not quite in sync with him.
Right. Totally.
And I do have like one like real crazy theory about this, and the idea is that they say they're traveling through the galaxy, but they're really traveling through time. And they're actually going to the past to set up like the origins of like the original Jedi Temple. And that's what Baylan is actually doing, is that he's going to be setting up the origin of the first Jedi Temple. And it's going to lead into like the main storyline of like everything that we know.
Wow. Turn the podcast off. Amado has officially lost me. If I get another stupid freaking time travel storyline, inside joke, Jordan, like anytime there's time travel involved, it's like I'm like the toddler in the room who doesn't understand anything.
Yeah. Explain everything to him like he's a 5-year-old. That's what it is. But
that is an interesting theory.
It's a very interesting theory, dude. I kind of want to see that now. Like, but it's got to be time travel so fickle. Like you really have to execute it to perfection.
You have to thread it pretty solidly.
Which Dave Filoni in time travel, I think he could pull that off.
I think he could.
If anybody
hey,
could,
what can't Filoni do? Right.
What I love about like their storyline specifically, I was like telling y'all like I love Star Wars, but like I'm not just like a crazy hardcore fan. That like I love that there's stories like that you know I don't know what they're gonna do, and like neither does anyone else.
No.
And so I literally came into this
actually.
thinking y'all were gonna tell me like, oh, like he's this guy.
Here's where we're going. Yeah.
And I'm just sitting back looking like, oh, like I don't want to hear any spoilers, but literally no one knows.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
great.
essentially like Shin is a character created specifically for this show.
Series,
so like there's nothing that you know about her.
that's great.
Like you can't know anything about her.
Yeah, sign me
and
up.
if you think you do, you don't.
Yeah, let's go along on the ride for this character discovery. That's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Okay.
But back to Baylan real quick. I was like, again, so this whole entire series so far, he's been stealing the show, and he still is in some regard, like the actor
he's doing good.
performance.
He's doing real good.
But something I loved was like the way he was able to convince Sabine to give him the map, and he's like keeping his word. And again, technically, you could say, well, yeah, he's still going to keep it, but he's been a little more disengaged with Sabine in this last episode than I would have liked. Like when she's like, "Hey, we had a deal," and he just looks at her and then walks away grumpily. I was like, that doesn't feel like in character to me.
No,
it didn't feel in character at all, and I don't get, like maybe he is ultimately just playing her.
Yeah,
but I really like the thought of him not playing her.
Yeah,
and like
but
showing
just
her
not being exactly what it needs to be. But,
right? Yeah.
Like, what if you just dropped the line like, I was telling the truth from a certain point of view.
Yeah.
You'll see Ezra, but like when he's dead.
Yeah.
Or just like wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't know. Also, one gripe with this episode. Well, it's not a big gripe. I mean, we're gonna get to all the good stuff here soon about Thrawn and Ezra and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
I was really hoping there's one moment in time in this episode. Yeah, when they were talking about Ahsoka potentially being alive, and Morgan was like, "That's not possible." And I was like, please, Thrawn, please finish her right now. Just do it. I was waiting for it, dude. Yeah. I was waiting for it. It's funny. My mother-in-law was like, I'm just ready for her to die.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I don't. That's the one actress in there. I don't. It sounds mean. Maybe it's just like her face is like.
I hate your stupid face.
It's just like droopy-ish.
Yeah.
I just can't get behind her performance. Like everyone else is awesome.
Yeah. Right.
But like for some reason, I see her face and I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It would be nice now that we are on the planet that we could potentially
get rid of her.
Like get rid of her in the sense of we already have these witches there. But I feel like in a way she may be like part of the connection between the two worlds to where they kind of need her. Like without like them pointing out like the stuff that we actually do need her for
and she's probably got resources back on her side of the galaxy that will be useful.
Yes.
And connections, obviously. Yeah. But, man, I was just really hoping to see Thrawn just be like, you incompetent fool.
Yeah.
Or
well, he did it. He didn't do it to the extreme, but he did it in a way that was like very strategic, which he's known for, where he was like,
right.
Well, you assume assume further that Ahsoka is alive until proven otherwise.
Yes,
exactly.
Until I see the body.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
It was very much like that, and I love the fact that he comes out with like, I need to know like X, Y, Z.
Yeah,
like that was Thrawn to a T.
So Thrawn,
like that. And he was talking about Ahsoka in that moment, right?
Yes.
So does he not know that her story then? Like, again, getting into the animated stuff. Like, did her and Thrawn have much of an interaction?
I mean, they did, but it wasn't as
it wasn't super deep,
heavy.
Like,
he knows of her, and she's foiled many of his plans from at a distance. But they never really were like fully engaged.
He doesn't know about Anakin training her.
No, he does not.
Obviously, since he said
because he said he wants to know. Well, he knows about Anakin, but he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Because the whole premise
when he gets a hold of that intel,
the whole premise of Anakin,
he's going to use that to just
and Ahsoka
wreck her
secret apprentice. So
yeah.
But yeah, so I want to go to the Thrawn scene, okay? Like his entrance. I feel like it's a good transition to go to. And so Thrawn enters into the throne room. We have all of these, they are called night troopers here, right?
Yes.
And we get a look of the leader, right? And he's known as Enoch, and he's got that cool gold-plated face, right? So I feel like Filoni did something here. I feel like in the expanded universe, in Star Wars Legends, right? They have something called Death Troopers, and I feel like he took the Death Trooper concept and incorporated it into these Night Troopers. Okay, the small twist here, right, for the Death Troopers is that they're essentially like dead, like undead or whatever. Like they are
for real.
Yeah, in the Legends, right? So it is very possible that this is going to come to fruition because he's dealing with witches and dark magic. They mentioned the dark magic here, right?
Fascinating.
And so if this comes out plays out to become that they actually are Death Troopers, they're probably not going to use that name anymore. That name is probably like trash, and they probably like Night Troopers better. But what if the witches use their dark magic to create these troopers for Thrawn, and they're an elevated level from the troopers he had originally? So that'd be really cool to see if that comes to fruition, and taking something from the expanded universe and bringing it into canon, into the Disney quote unquote Star Wars universe.
Well, and like he mentioned right at the end, wise sisters, whatever he calls them. He's like, I required your dark magic once more.
Yeah. Which
who knows what that means? Yeah.
I mean, it would make sense like that. A lot of his troopers have gotten knocked off as they came across, and
makes sense.
Like that, this was his only way to replenish his resources, was using the sisters to help him with that. Now, what will be interesting is like the idea of like if as they are fighting and as they are potentially coming back and forth, like I could see there being like the hitch of these troopers can't move from one galaxy to the other without like becoming like inert, like without like maybe they can only fight and win on this side of the galaxy, and they lose their zombie-like state if they cut across. So like Thrawn kind of wants to fight on this side to win, and then come across and take his rightful place in the Empire. So we could have an interesting idea where like what has to end up happening is like they have to do the thing that they don't want to do. They have to pull Thrawn through to the other side to actually defeat him, because he's too strong in that universe because of his troopers who can't cross over.
Now, there's also a thought that they could just be
regular old stormtroopers.
They could be
stormtroopers,
just really bad, like outfits. They're just ruined. And
they all look dirty. I mean, they look like they've just been surviving.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
So again, like okay, here we go. This is always my biggest gripe with Star Wars, because I never know. My biggest question is, when I'm watching all this Star Wars stuff, I'm always like, okay, cool, but when? So, help fill in the gaps. When does Thrawn and Ezra get exiled in relation to not only this series, but let's say the end of the Empire?
Okay.
Help me understand how long he's been gone.
Between 7 and 8, correct?
7 and 8 what?
Like movie 7 and 8, isn't it?
Wait. No, that can't be right.
I don't think it's.
Or is it?
It's not.
Everything in this series is before 7. Long before 7.
Yeah, it's before that. I think it's in between 6 and 7, I believe, but it's right before 7.
Does Thrawn know about the Empire falling?
He should, right?
I thought he wasn't exiled before. all that went down?
Gosh, dude, this Star Wars timeline
You guys
is
suck.
crazy. Listen,
come on, I need help.
I'm trying
here.
to think here. I'm trying because Rebels takes place.
There's someone out there listening who thinks
okay.
we're schmucks right now because of you guys.
Listen, we are the Average Joe podcast, man.
No, dude, you got to with names, yes.
Yes.
Timelines, no.
But the Star Wars timeline is so convoluted, dude. It's like it's insane. I do believe it is in between 6 and 7 is when closer to 7 is when Rebels takes place, is what I believe.
Okay.
Resistance takes place further into this whole entire journey. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
Wait, the entire Rebel show takes place after episode 6? No, the Empire's still alive.
No. The Rebel. Okay, so seasons 1 through 2 is while the Empire is still going on, but then the very last 3 episodes or 4 episodes of Rebels takes place farther, a little bit further into the future because Ezra's more grown in that aspect of it.
So that part I'm confused on. Okay. All right, because I was just wondering, does he even know about the Empire falling?
I think he does.
I think he does.
He does.
Because they didn't allude to whether he knows or doesn't know anything.
Right. They didn't
allude to how long he's been there.
Jeez, man, this whole timeline thing is it's
I mean,
got me right
all
now.
he said is he mentioned that their numbers have been depleted because of just trying to survive. Mm-hmm. But he didn't. But I don't know if it's been years.
Yeah.
I thought somewhere. I don't know if it's something I read or they said it in there 9 years, but that's a very specific number. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I may have just lied to myself.
At the very end of Rebels, Hera is just pregnant, correct?
Yes, correct.
She has not had Jason at the end of the series.
And Jason looks like he's Justin.
Probably
how old is he?
He's probably 9 or 10.
Yeah.
So it's probably been about 9 or 10 years since, because it can't be really any longer than that because of
The Mandalorian, where the Mandalorian falls.
that kind of stuff, and also not to give away spoilers or anything, but Kanan, he does not last that long.
Yeah. Sure. Okay.
So by the end of the series, she has to be pregnant with Jason.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's actually helpful. Okay. Well, anyways, I was just curious.
Yeah, no.
I mean, it's confusing. Okay, well, let's get to the good stuff. All right. The entrance, the reveal. Thrawn is on the scene.
Yeah.
Especially for you two, Shamato and Sandy. I looked at the wrong of you, and I said that. But nobody's watching this, so they don't know that. But anyways, what was that like for you guys seeing Thrawn live action? Give me your initial what it felt like when you watched it.
So first off, it's the same actor that voiced him in the show, which is great. It's phenomenal.
That is cool.
Lars Mikkelsen,
yes,
in relation to Mads Mikkelsen.
Great.
Which is great. Marvel.
He had a great villain look.
He did,
and it wasn't even the blue skin and the orange eyes. Just the stoic kind of calm.
I mean, him and his brother have that look.
His voice was spot on, phenomenal.
Yeah.
That I was all in there. Now, Thrawn does look a little more menacing in Rebels. He actually has this very cut, structured face where it's more even and lined up and everything. So that didn't quite translate. And I've seen this going around all over Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that. But they're saying it's just a blue Elon Musk is what they're saying.
I legitimately thought it was Elon Musk.
No,
I'm not kidding. I was I looked.
Is that him?
It really, but then
that's funny.
He kind of had the dad bod.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's true.
I noticed that, and I was I didn't watch the cartoons, but I was he's skinny, right?
He is. He's a lot.
He's skinnier, but he's not he's the big thing about him is he's not physically necessarily imposing.
Yes, correct.
He's not the dude that's going to be getting down and punching you in the face.
And I think really what, and I'm assuming you guys would agree to this as someone who watched the animated series. I think you care more about if you can have the real voice. No one cares much what he looks like.
Yeah,
probably
for sure.
Yeah,
especially with the like we were saying, the type of villain he is supposed to be, the voice and the presence that you can create with that voice is much more important than the actual physical look.
Great. Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, it was fun. It was a good time just to have him back. It was so good.
Yeah. And his first officer, Enoch.
Yeah, Enoch.
Scary looking.
Yeah, just weird.
And his voice too, man.
And his voice, and he could change different voices. I mean, I can't wait to see Enoch in some action. That's gonna be cool.
Yeah, his first fight, he's got to overpower whoever it is. I feel sorry for it.
Yeah.
He's got to make a statement.
It was cool. And again, I've never watched Thrawn in the animated series, and I, shamefully admit that. But
this
is a truthful podcast here. I'm not going to lie to our listeners. But even for me, it was like, oh, this seems pretty freaking cool. Like it just felt like really important watching it.
Yeah, and Jordan, you didn't watch either, right? The cartoon, right?
No.
So, like, what was your take on Thrawn?
I mean, like I saw it as like important for sure. I was like, oh, there's that guy, but like
that guy,
it wasn't like. I mean, it was cool.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like over emotional or anything.
Sure.
I felt more of that way with like Anakin.
Okay.
When he came back, I was like, I know that guy. Like that,
yeah, of course.
That part to me was
That's
more
fair.
emotional, but I understand like for deeper fans, like this was cooler.
But you could tell at least, even if it didn't connect emotionally, you could just tell. Tell me if I'm wrong, Jordan, but like the stakes seem like, oh gosh, now that he's on the scene, you got something to worry about.
Yeah.
Them all like chanting his name, like that was
so interesting.
Oh
Does that happen in the animated series?
No.
No,
no,
I don't think so.
It is not, but I'm here for it.
I love it, yeah. And I just love when a villain is, again, so the beginning of this review, episode 1 or 2, you guys remember when I was just like, this Morgan lady sucks. And I have a vendetta against her.
Yeah.
Because for me, something I hate about Star Wars villains are when they're way too serious. Okay? Like, she just sucks. There's no depth. There's nothing. Yeah. She's way too serious. And how I told you guys, my favorite villains, not that you need to go full Joker. I don't want that, because that wouldn't really work in Star Wars. But I need just a little more, like, cunning, a little more, like, devious, a little more something, right?
Yeah.
I don't need you to be overpowering, so I can tell why I'm going to really love this Thrawn guy is, he's serious, but he's not like just serious just for being serious.
Yeah.
He's not evil just to be evil. Like this Morgan chick who sucks.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, he's got a level. He's got a
purpose.
He's got a purpose, and he's got a little bit of a, not that he's like overly humorous, but he's just like, he's a little more. He's so relaxed.
The dialogue drives it.
Yeah.
So like he uses the dialogue to be.
He has wit.
Scary.
He has suave a little bit.
It is. Thank you. He has suave.
Yeah.
It's scary how calm he is.
I think the main scene that I think tailored to everything that you said was when they say, let's send out 2 squadrons, and then Morgan's like, no, don't you want to send out more? Send out 6? He's like, no, like just send out 2. We've lost too many people already.
But the way he says it,
the way he presents that, and he says that it's not like, oh yeah, I'm so evil, I'm going to go out there and destroy.
And also there was a level of honesty where he's like, well, actually, here's the truth of what's happened.
Yeah,
we've been depleted.
Yeah,
so the priority is getting out of here.
Which, speaking of the depleted, right? I know we're going to talk about Ezra in a little bit, but the people that have been depleted from Thrawn's thing, if you look closely to Ezra's, like what he's wearing, he kind of has like this chainmail that's kind of coming out from like his shirt. That if you like look close, the chainmail are the tags from like the Fallen Squadron.
No way.
Yeah,
that's brutal.
Of the troopers.
Yeah.
So that's really
sick.
Really sick.
Yeah,
dude.
that's pretty.
That's really sick.
That's cold right there.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's like cutting scalps. Is what. So cool though.
Yeah, but I can just tell this Thrawn guy. Yeah, again, he's that perfect. Like I don't know where he's on the spectrum from Morgan to. The Joker. I know it's not it, but again, like not that I need full crazy. I just need a little bit more suave. I just need a little bit more calm, relaxed. That's why I like this Balin guy. He seems like he's in control.
He's got it together. Yeah.
Right. Thrawn clearly has that.
Yeah.
And his interaction, and I love how even like, he doesn't recognize Balin when he's asking about Morgan, and then she says, "Well, we got a prisoner, Sabine Wren." And he's like, a name I am familiar with. Like, I just love those kind of
so
lines.
Chill.
Yeah, love it.
But then, like, he called back and he was like, "Oh, you're General Balin."
That's right. Like he knows of him.
He's like, "I know that. I guess
the Jedi Order." Yeah, from the Jedi Order.
Yeah, right. So he knows of him. So which was impressive, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the thing that like I know Shimano's brought it up previously. Like when we were speculating about Thrawn, he said that he's very calculated. He wants to know everything about everyone, which he even says like, "I want to know her master," and everything like that, right? That same goes for he probably knew everything about the Jedi Order and the Jedi Temple. So of course he would know who Balon is. Like he did his studying. He's heard that name before.
But he's probably a little surprised to see
that he's
that he's
not a Jedi.
Yeah, that he's not a Jedi, and that he survived. But yeah, I do think that's like one of the things is he would. I think that's one of the coolest things about Thrawn in general is that a lot of like villains want to like push down their enemies, and by doing that, by pushing them down, they in a way push themselves up, and then therefore the knowledge of your enemy becomes something that pulls you down. Yeah, like knowing what your enemy's like weaknesses are and their culture in a lot of ways is seen as like a negative thing through a lot of like history in general, like even our own history, but it can also be used as a very valuable tool, which is what Thrawn does. He uses the tools. He knows what's important to you, and then which allows him to pull the right strings.
Exactly.
Like he understands what's important to what people.
Right. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so we see Thrawn. He steals the show. He talks with Sabine, and he's like, again, I love when a villain, and obviously he's got his intentions, which he shows later. But when he's like, well, I have you to thank for my, getting out of here. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I intend to honor the promise that Lord Balin gave to you, right? Just the way he's delivering these lines, it's Sabine's like, so just like that. And just like that. Just like that. Yeah. So, send Sabine out on a wolf with a mouse.
Howler.
A howler. Yeah. There you go.
Which were introduced in Legends.
Were we? Okay. Yeah. Cool.
But they look more reptilian as far as their description goes. Yeah. But now they're, I guess, more wolf.
It's like a rat, dog.
Yeah. Wolf, horse. Because it's also the size of a horse.
Yeah, you could do riding. Yeah. That's true. Good point.
So she goes out. I'm just going to breeze through some of this. There's some decent action. She gets... cornered by a troop of nomads.
I was waiting for her to use her lightsaber. I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you,
I love that they gave her a lightsaber.
Yeah, Mandalorian it up, and then I was like, just use your lightsaber. And then she finally does and, hacks them all down. Just like that.
So, that was cool. But...
I do think it's interesting, though, in that moment. Like, it's a way of showing that, that isn't always her first thought. She isn't quite there yet. Like it isn't
point.
The
very good point.
Like for a regular Jedi, the first thing that Ahsoka would grab for would be her lightsaber. The first thing that Obi-Wan or Anakin would grab for would be it would be their lightsaber.
Yeah, but Sabine has been using blasters for so long.
It's kind of showing that she's still like a Mandalorian first, even just like her mindset is still not like in the complete. Where she thinks she is in her training.
I think it would have been really cool. Like, I know you got to see, I don't know what it's called, the grappling hook.
Oh, yeah.
How cool would it be, the grappling hook, pulled into, a lightsaber. Just,
that's brutal.
Well, now I got to see that, man.
That would be awesome.
That's great, man.
I love how she's, using the lightsaber, and one of the guys is using his, staff, and then he's, he gets cut in half, and he just runs away.
Yeah.
That was great. So eventually she's traveling with her wolf howler.
Yeah. Which did your dogs freak out about the howler?
Yes.
Yeah, mine did too.
Yeah, for sure.
I was like, this dog is
she was losing her mind
right now.
So she's traveling, and then they roll up on what I would call, and my mother-in-law mentioned this, or maybe it was my wife. I don't know. One of them mentioned that essentially this version or this planet's version of Ewoks.
I mean, I guess, yeah.
Friendly little,
cute looking things, right?
Noties,
just
noties, yeah.
Noties, yeah. Mm-hmm. Which I've got this fear, they're gonna get destroyed,
executed,
in this next episode.
What, you think Shin's gonna pull an Anakin on the Jedi Temple?
Yeah, and you could tell they travel kind of like the Harfoots do in. They travel together to survive, And someone just told me they ain't gonna. Although they do have a Jedi and a Padawan, so that's helpful. But anyways, let's get to that.
But what we could see is maybe they travel and they're some of her ahead, and you see their next village just be
destroyed,
obliterated.
Because although they are nomads, it seems like they have they leave behind stuff. So they might have 5 or 6 different places that they just kind of frequent.
Right.
And like the next one will be just like destroyed.
I saw someone ask like the question online. They're like, do you think like the rock is a part of their body?
Oh yeah.
Or like
is
does it come
armor?
off? And like if it comes off, like is that how they get on like their neat little like 3-piece suits? That's a fair
That's
question.
true because they are dressed like they're fully fully clothed.
That is
But like
interesting.
yet they're wearing
Yeah.
shells. Yeah.
All right, well, talk to me about this. Here's what it comes down to. Again, for you two especially, we get Ezra. Live action Ezra.
Yeah.
What was that
Yes.
like for y'all?
Which I mean, the last we
He
see
looks
it-
like a skinny version
Yes.
of you.
Well, oh, from me, thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Doesn't he, Shabana?
Yeah, dark hair,
Yeah.
dark
Yeah,
beard.
the beard.
When we last see Ezra, he doesn't like. He looks significantly different. Like significantly different than what he looked like when we like no facial hair, very very short hair, and then now he's got these long.
Same voice?
No.
Okay.
Different voice. Yeah.
Okay.
So he looks different, and so you kind of like. But he's got that same kind of like feel. Like he feels.
Yeah.
Like Ezra has this like sense of brings the joy out in people. Like he's got that like charisma.
He's playful.
Yeah,
He-
playful.
yeah.
And he did that with Sabine, and I felt their relationship. I do feel as though Sabine's actress maybe missed the mark with how Sabine and Ezra's relationship were in Rebels, but it was almost there. It was like,
Tell me about that.
Yeah.
All right, let me ask you this. Let me just get to the point.
Yeah.
Is there a hint of romance with them, or? And I'm sorry if I'm offending someone by asking that. I'm just
okay.
I don't know.
It's difficult because it's one of those things where when they met, and although the Star Wars has shown that it doesn't really matter, but like age wise with their ideas with Padme and Anakin.
Yeah, true.
But truthfully, when they meet, she is at an age range where like she sees him as a little squirt in a lot of ways.
Right.
Like, and they kind of grow into like this. He has like a crush on her, especially in the beginning.
Okay.
And as he ages and as their relationship grows, it becomes more of like a brother-sister relationship.
yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, it could be one of those things where like now that they have grown into an age group where their age difference doesn't matter as much,
Yeah.
that they might try to turn the table into something, romantic.
and go ahead.
I'm sorry, I knew nothing about their relationship.
Yeah.
And so like what Justin, what you were just saying, like with the actress, like of the performance, I got no like romantic vibes. Like it just seemed like a plain hug to me.
Yeah.
Like no.
Really?
Yeah.
That 30-minute hug? That was the longest hug I've ever
the
seen.
look on her face was more of like, oh my brother. Like it
Okay.
wasn't.
I
Yeah.
think that's more of it.
Hey, well, in fairness, Star Wars has normalized brother and
Sister
sister
relationships.
lip-on-lip kissing.
we
So,
do not condone.
we
I'm just
live
telling you what Star Wars has
we may
done,
live in the
okay?
South, very close to Alabama, but
Stop.
we do not
Stop.
condone that.
Stop. All right. I was just curious. Just because I don't know.
But
It could get there.
But yeah, I mean, would you say that was an accurate representation?
Yeah, that was very good. Shimano broke that down perfectly.
perfectly
Yeah.
great, as he normally
Yes,
does.
of course. He's like Thrawn with his
But yeah,
calculations.
so
and
I will say
strategies.
this, Ezra. He's like, "How did you get here, anyways?" And she's like, "Can't we just like, you know,
Yeah.
can we just talk about like the fact that I'm here?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's just like it's gonna go so south.
It
He
is.
is gonna be so pissed.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's the type to like hold a grudge or continue to like bring it up, but in my mind, like Ezra's gonna be so mad.
I could see him being, once he gets over it a little bit, being very snarky about it.
Yeah.
Being like if she were to make a or if he were to make a mistake, he'd be like, and then she gets onto him. He's like, well, kind of like how you led the entire empire to us.
Yeah,
Right, exactly.
Like he would drop
Kinda
that
how
line
you-
on her.
Kind
Like,
of how you enabled Thrawn to return.
Yeah.
yes, yeah. He would like play into that hard.
It's like, oh, what's that? The Empire has fallen. Oh, and you gave the keys to the heir to the Empire to return and take
Thanks.
over. Yeah.
Oh, so
Well
like
done.
the years that I sacrificed coming here, they mean nothing. Got it.
Seriously, yeah. Like, oh my gosh.
True.
Yep.
All right, let's end this episode, this pod, with some speculation. We're
Sure,
going into
yeah.
the penultimate episode, right?
Yeah, we are.
Okay. So we didn't get a lick of. Well, we got Ahsoka and Hu Yang at the very beginning.
Yeah.
But the whole episode after the title screen was everything on this planet, which I'm forgetting what it's called. Who cares?
Paradia.
Yeah, that's right.
Peridia.
Yeah, well done. That was great. All right, thoughts on what's next?
I think we are going to get that scene of like the Purgles just getting massacred.
Oh, it's so
I really
sad.
do think that, and it's going to be
they're going to escape. Brutal. They're going to escape as the one they're in is getting destroyed.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, that's going to happen. I'm calling.
So how do these witches just know that? That's kind of messed up,
dude. They're witches. They foresee things. Like they even said the line was said to Morgan like, "Oh, we reached out to you in a vision." And
but they didn't. Yeah. They don't know everything. They didn't know that Sabine was going to be there.
No, they didn't. But when she got there, they smelled Jedi, so they knew she was a Jedi.
That was weird.
Yeah, I thought the witches were like. I thought that was a different take in like the Star Wars like universe. Like it seemed more creepy, whereas like everybody else, like you were mentioning earlier, was like they're like kind of stoic and like Darth Maul and all Vader, but like they were like genuinely creepy.
Oh, dude, for sure. Really I'm not with witches, bro. I ain't with witches.
The witches have some weird things that they do in the Star Wars universe, which they really haven't like. You really haven't seen any of them in live action.
You've only seen it in video game format. Like there's a very large
video game and animated series is really all you get to see of them. But yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see how. Like there are moments that I could see like it's gonna be interesting to see how sad it is when the Purgles show up.
Yeah, it's gonna be awful.
Like, is it gonna be like are they gonna fight back, or
can they?
Or like B, can they? And like, is it gonna be like in this? Like in the second Avatar movie where you meet these whales that are like completely against are completely against fighting, and they just let themselves just be killed because that is the peaceful thing to do.
Don't do that to me.
You know, like, so that'll be interesting to see how that plays out with that, because that's kind of what I'm thinking about. Yeah. And it'll also be interesting to see like, okay, so why is this place a graveyard? Yeah. Is it a graveyard because of the migration pattern, or is it because of what Thrawn does when the Purgles show up, or is it
or because what the witches do?
Because what the witches do when like to the Purgle. I mean, who knows?
It sounded like the witches and the Purgles had a joint relationship. Yeah. Like they needed them.
It does seem like that there's more to it.
Yeah.
Well, like, hey, the witches weren't there when Thrawn said to shoot on them with. Wait, were they? No, they were.
No.
Wait. I'm trying to think like
they were there.
They were there because they
said the Jedi.
Dang it. I was just looking for any chance that they could be mad.
And it'd be interesting to see like, I mean, what if that's part of how Thrawn's army's been surviving? It's just knocking off Purgle and then just like eating them.
Oh, geez. Like, all right, it's time to end this pod.
Yeah, I do think that Star Wars Filoni has to land this, man. He has to land this in the next 2 episodes. Like I feel like. They've done such a good job so far.
He will. Don't worry about it.
These last 3 episodes have been heaters, man. He'll
be fine.
So good.
You have nothing to worry about.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Now, I do think it'll be really interesting to see. I'm thinking we'll get most of the next episode set on here, setting things up. I would love it if towards the end of this last episode, we see like Hera and like the rest of like she somehow has convinced. The New Republic to like find a way across.
I don't think we're getting them until the last episode when Thrawn returns to the galaxy.
All right, here's my prediction. Yeah. We're not in buy or sell yet, but I think this whole season is gonna the cliffhanger at the end of the season is the return. Like,
oh, really?
The end of the last episode is because they got a whole nother season.
I mean.
I think this whole next episode and most of the finale is going to happen in this galaxy in like a day's time, or well, actually 3 days time because that's what I interpret what a rotation means.
There's some interesting stuff that
because the witches Morgan said that she anticipates it'll take 3 rotations to get all of the stuff that they're moving,
whatever that
is.
Yeah.
From the mines.
For me, a rotation means a day. I could be totally wrong. If I am Star Wars nerd, sorry, but. I have a feeling that everything for the rest of this season is happening in this galaxy, and the cliffhanger is Thrawn leaves, and then they chase him, or vice versa. Well, it wouldn't be vice versa. I think they all have to be on that starship.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't see that playing out. I see like at the end of episode 5, they're going back. And then
episode 5.
Or not, sorry. It's penultimate. My bad.
He has,
the end of episode 7.
He's been poisoned by Marvel.
You're wrong.
The end of
You're totally wrong.
Poisoned by Marvel. The end of episode 7, they go back and they're chasing him then. And then in episode 8, they are fighting him.
I'm so tempted to put it back.
Okay,
happens.
so my idea is
$20.
Like so
What a bottle of bourbon.
it's kind of like sort of in between like what you two are saying in the sense that so they come back and the final is the all is lost moment where Thrawn comes back and he's basically you see the government essentially like implode upon itself and Thrawn's agents in the government basically retake and they have a new like world order set up and then like you have Thrawn basically at the head of the government almost like do you remember at the end of the second Planet of the Apes movie where like Caesar is sitting on the throne and they just kind of pan out kind of like that with him and they have
way. You think all that's happening in the next 2 episodes?
Okay, but
did we get a runtime on these episodes?
Yeah.
And,
Probably
They've done good.
and basically what we're
good.
gonna have is we're gonna have like snapshots of the rebels like building again to try to take down the government one more time.
Well, I feel like this has got to be the start of the new order, right?
The First Order.
First Order. Yeah, thank you. I feel like this has got to be the start of it. So, like at the end of this entire series, I feel like it should be Thrawn laying the groundwork for the idea of the First Order. I don't know. That's where I feel.
I think the cliffhanger is going to be. I think we're gonna. I feel like the end of the finale is everybody leaving to go back to the galaxy, and we almost don't get anything. Yeah. I'm just saying I'm right and you're wrong. But anyways,
think we're as Star Wars fans, whether you're a casual fan or a hardcore fan, I feel like we're at a sweet spot right now where we can just ride this wave all the way out and have a satisfying conclusion. Like I feel like we're there. Yeah. So
it's been awesome.
Let's just enjoy it. Let's just ride it out.
And not fight about it and put bets down on it?
No,
fair enough. Jordan, any last thoughts, man, as our special guest?
No, I mean, I guess like for me, what I'm looking forward to, I want to see what happens with Balin and Shin.
Yeah,
I feel like there's a
fair.
crack
To tell you the
coming
truth,
in that.
like I was saying,
To
like
me, it don't look good, but
that has stolen like the idea is like what's happening with Balin and Shin, and what is he trying to actually do there, and what is she going to do there?
He gives off a very like Daenerys Targaryen, like break the wheel. Is like what he was like saying.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to kind of get at is like he's trying like part of the idea at the beginning. It sounded like he just wanted like the Force to be done, like in that he felt like there was a way in this galaxy to just like snip it and it just be done.
Crazy theory to end. This gets into your if this is somehow back in time. I know that the actor in real life that played Balin died, which is extremely unfortunate.
Yeah.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, he
did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yep.
Shortly after the show
Really?
wrapped up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the character of Balin, what if we've never been able to pinpoint who Snoke is? And if this is somehow a time, going back in time, and he is left stranded there, and then he has to age normally, and then he eventually comes out of that.
You saying this is Snoke?
This is Snoke. Dude, I hope I'm right and that everyone in the world comes to our podcast to hear that I called that after episode 6.
I'm going with somehow like
No way.
He gets killed.
For sure.
Thrawn kills him.
Yeah.
I think Thrawn kills him and it turns
I think
Shin
Shin kills him.
I don't see I see she's like really loyal to him.
Okay.
Thrawn kills him. She goes to the light side.
Really?
That's
It takes off her eyeliner?
I like the eyeliner.
I mean,
I like.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I like that.
I like it.
That would be an interesting setup, like to see where that would go with that. Although I will say in this episode, it seemed like the only negative I would say that is it seemed like Shin was leaning less loyal to him in this episode than like if they were going to make her like super loyal and have him be killed, and then her like make a change because of that.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, boys,
This
has been a great discussion. Shout out to all of our listeners, everybody who's tuned in. We really appreciate you. Just want to remind you to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen, to leave us a review wherever you listen. Follow us on social media at Royal Geek Pod. And also share this podcast with all of your Star Wars friends. Please, that's the best thing you can do. If you were to run into us on the street and say, hey, what can I do to help the podcast? Outside of giving us like $1,000, because you love us, I would say share the podcast with your friends. It helps us out a lot. All right. With all that in mind, for my good friends, Sandy, Shamato, and my boy Jordan, this is T-Roll saying thank you so much for listening to the Royal Geek Podcast. We will see you next time, you peasants.